This is something new I want to try on this channel. Maybe I'll do more of these in the future if this is cool, but this week I wanted to talk about some of the books and photography related things that I've been enjoying this month, and hopefully they're interesting and you guys like them too. A couple weeks ago I saw an exhibition by Todd Hido in New York City, and the exhibition was called Intimate Distance. It's his new body of work, and I think it's really successful. So at the exhibition, I picked up his book, and that's the first thing on this month's list. I think his photos of houses at night are incredible, and that's what he's known for, and it's definitely difficult after you make a body of work that's that successful to come back to something that's equally good, and I think he's done a good follow-up on that with this book. It has landscape, portraits, and some snapshots in there, and I think it works really well. My favorites are definitely his photos of landscapes. I think that it's really nice how he shoots through his windshield when it's wet. It makes these landscapes look really painterly, and I think that's super cool. It's definitely a new approach to landscape photography that looks almost more like paintings than they do photos, and I think he's done that really well. That being said, this book was kind of expensive, but I think it's worth it. I'm a big Todd Hido fan, and that's my first thing on this month's list. The second thing, I've actually had this for a little over a month, but it's still pretty recent. It's my Sekonic light meter. The model name is the L308X-U, which is not very convenient to say, but it's a really good light meter. It's really simple. It has incident and reflected light reading, so you can hold your light meter in front of your subject or you can point it at the subject, and I think that's just a really good combination. It's really easy to switch between them by just sliding the little dome, and that works really well. I can also plug any flash into this. It has a flash connecting port at the bottom, and that's really nice. I can use this in the studio or outside. I really like the way of reading the incident light. I think it works really well because it's not biased towards what your subject is. It's reading the light that's falling onto them, and because of that you always get really consistent readings, and they tend to work really well. Moving on, the third thing is actually a little lens. It's a Canon EF lens, and it's the 40mm Pancake 2.8 lens. I bought this thing for my Canon SLR for the A630, which is just like a 35mm SLR. 40mm is a really nice focal length, and this thing goes down to 2.8. For being such a small lens, that's amazing, I think, and it really makes it much easier to take your camera out because it makes any camera body so much lighter. It has really nice quiet autofocus, and 2.8 is a nice aperture, especially for such a tiny little lens. It's literally the same size as some of the lens adapters that I have to use, so this thing is essentially a body cap that you can leave on your camera, and it takes amazing photos. I bought this lens for shooting 35mm film, but it works equally well for video or digital photos because it works on Canon SLRs, and yeah, it's a great lens. And it's cheap. It's about 120 bucks, and to get a 2.8 autofocus lens that's really sharp for 120 bucks is really cool. The next thing probably deserves its own video, but it's a lens filter. It's called the Tiffen Pro Mist. You can get these in a ton of different strengths, and it's basically a diffusion filter, which means that it softens your photos a little bit. At first you'd be like, why would you do that? But it gives this really beautiful soft glow to the highlights. It makes colors very soft. It just gives your photos like a dreamier look than if you didn't have the Pro Mist. It works super nice for taking portraits because you don't always want the sharpest photo when you're taking a portrait of somebody. Sometimes a little bit of a softer image can be much more flattering, and I think that's what the Pro Mist is really cool for. Honestly, it's not necessarily something you can always pinpoint in the photos when you see them, but you can definitely tell when you compare side by side. And yeah, I think it's just a very nice little touch that you can give your photos to make them look a little bit different. The last thing which I want to talk about, which is probably my favorite thing out of all of these, is the Dana Lichtenberg zine with all the photos of Tupac and Biggie. All of the photos in this publication were shot for Vibe magazine, and I think this is an incredible zine. This is a book that came out this month on Amazon, and you can pick it up for $32. I think this is my favorite photography book I've ever seen. The book feels really authentic in the sense that you see all the contact sheets, all the Polaroids, every single photo that was taken on the shoot, and I think that's what's really cool about it. It's definitely not a common thing that you get access to stuff like that, especially from such an iconic shoot. I'll have links in the description to where you can buy a lot of this stuff. I hope this video was interesting. I definitely want to make more of these if people seem to like them. That's it for now though. Make sure you subscribe because I'm doing one of these videos every single week, and check out my Instagram down below. That's it for now. Peace.